Hi there, business owner, and welcome to the 3Bs podcast, the place where we go beyond the numbers and dive into strategies to help you build a better business one step at a time. I'm your host, Stephanie, a multi-award-winning entrepreneur with over a decade of experience in the bookkeeping and accountancy world. If you're a business owner looking to streamline, grow, and get back the time that you deserve, you're in the right place. We're tackling real-world problems, answering tough questions, and digging deep into business-building secrets in just 15 minutes each week. So are you ready to build a better business with confidence and clarity? Then let's go. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 3Bs podcast, your go-to place for 15 minutes of CPD certified motivation, education and inspiration to help you build a better business each week. As always, I'm your host Stephanie. Hi, if you're new here, don't forget to like, rate and review wherever you're listening to or watching this podcast, and subscribe on YouTube and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another episode. We have a guest with us again this week because I had to have her back. She is so valuable. Kathryn, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah, I'm Kathryn Frimond. I run a bookkeeping practice called Your Local Bookkeeper. Say it right, Your Local Bookkeeper. And we focus on sustainable businesses, but also on training accountants and bookkeepers to be more sustainable.
I love it. I love the fact that the first time you came on, I got my intro messed up, and this time you stumbled yours. We're equal now. We're equal. So we had you on a few episodes ago. We were talking about how you can be more sustainable as a business owner and what sustainability is, and getting a bit more clearer on the understanding. But I want to talk about bookkeepers. We're both bookkeeping practice owners. We're both bookkeepers by trade. You know, while I've got an expert in both bookkeeping and sustainability with me, I'm going to tap into all that knowledge for myself as well as the audience. What can bookkeepers do within their own practices to operate more sustainably, both digitally and operationally?
Yeah, so the first thing, and you probably heard me say it on a couple of episodes ago, but the first thing I would do is measure your carbon footprint, especially if you are using Xero. You can plug Xero into Someday and it creates a carbon footprint for free. That for me will give you kind of maybe 5 key areas that you can look at that you are most carbon intensive. So that would be like my starting point, but also just being conscious of your choices. So the biggest thing for bookkeepers is always when you go to an event and you are just inundated with swag, that there is only so many pens and notepads that you need. So I think, you know, like we all go to Accountex, and I got this year a luggage tag from, oh my goodness, I can't even remember who it was from. But like, I really wanted that, but that was the one thing that I took home. I did not need to take home 100 stress balls or things like that. So it's just being more conscious of your decisions, but start with the carbon footprint, definitely.
And obviously, as we move into making tax digital and MTDs coming into force for income tax next year, we, more than ever, we keep things digitally, we keep receipts digitally. Is there a way to be more sustainable with that? Do we use the apps like Dex and Apron to put our receipts on, or should we just be keeping the paper ones?
Okay, so my biggest bugbear with the accounting industry is when people say to me, I'm paperless, so I must be sustainable. No, there's so much more that we can do, but also digital footprints are massive. And if I just explain, because not everyone knows this at all. So when you upload an image to, say, Dext, that is saved on a giant computer somewhere. I think they use Amazon servers, so it's called a server, massive computer in a server room that gets so hot and is constantly on, and it's saved and it gets so hot they're constantly needing to be air conditioned. A lot of energy is going into keeping that image cold, basically, on this giant computer. So if you think like on a hot, it's billion degrees today whilst we're recording this, and I've got 2 fans on, the air conditioning's on in the other room, that's what that energy that is using all the time to keep that document. So when you're doing MTD, I would say it's definitely still better to put it on digitally, but maybe just think about how many places that item is saved. So again, I know that we all do this because I do it, but I will save on Dext, and then that feeds through to Xero, and then that is also, I better just save that on my OneDrive just in case, and then my client's got it saved on his Google, and then that's like 5 places. And actually, then it might be on your emails. You can delete it from your email. If you've saved it in 5 other places, we can definitely delete that document from our email. And it doesn't do much. I wish I had the book on my desk. That tells me how much that is. It doesn't create much, but if you think you've got 100 emails and everyone then deletes those 100 emails, it does start to compound and make a difference. And it basically means that going back to those server rooms, they'll have one less computer to keep cool, which is then energy saving for the planet.
It's incredible when you think about it. I never thought about it that way, because I'm the same. We use Apron Capture in the practice, and we put it on Apron. But that might have been WhatsApped to Apron, so it's on WhatsApp. Then it's on Apron. Then we push it through to Xero. Yeah, and then keep copying OneDrive just to be sure.
Yeah, just keep it there, just in case. And we all do it, and I do it, and I think, oh, I better just keep that just in case. And especially because it's drummed into us that we have to keep documents for a certain amount of time, and that's fine, but they're all on Xero, and to be honest, the likelihood of Xero going down and you not being able to recover those is pretty slim. So yeah, that's for me with the digital, is just making sure that you're not saving it in a bajillion places.
Yeah, it's like emails. I think about it because I changed domain, so I moved from a .co.uk to a .com domain, and the .co.uk domain I moved to a lower plan because we're bookkeepers and accountants. We don't like to spend money unless we have to, and it hit 5 gig. Now that email I've had for 4 years, so in 4 years there's 5 gig of emails in there. And you know what? 90% of them are probably people just replying back saying, yeah, okay, or yeah, we can do this time. Can you meet at this time? Like, how important actually are those emails? If I lost them all tomorrow, realistically, how many of them would I be upset about?
Yeah, and things like reminder emails, I just don't need them. Or a good one, and obviously no one would want to unsubscribe from our mailing lists, but unsubscribe from the mailing lists that you don't, because it costs carbon money to send that email. So if you're not even reading it and you're just deleting it, then unsubscribe.
And it saves you time from the future emails that are coming through as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, you mentioned about that you changed domain names. So again, websites are all held on servers, and the domain and everything's held on a server. You can have your domain with a green provider. And I can't give you an example off the top of my head because I can't think of one. But there are providers that use like 100% renewable energy. And there are even, if you want to be really pedantic about it, there are even ways to use different colours on your website and use like less text, optimize images, things like that, which will bring the carbon footprint of your website down.
Pedantic bookkeepers, never. We find that penny. Like, what pedantic is like our job description.
Yeah.
Attention to detail sounds nicer, but pedantic is definitely one of them. So, is there any financial incentives or grants that bookkeepers can help their clients look for when they adopt sustainable practices, or things that they can look at themselves?
Gosh, that is a difficult question. Yes and no. I think a lot of, as with any grants, a lot of things are based on where you live. So I know that there are some really good innovation grants in Scotland, because I've got a client that is in Glasgow. So I know there's a lot of grants there. I think it is very dependent on where the business is based. And the other question I would ask on the grants is, just from experience, is it worth having that grant for the amount of admin that you're going to do to get it? So in this office, for example, we had all LED lights put in, and it was so not worth our time and money to get the grant because we had to provide so much information. So for a small business, probably shouldn't be saying this, but it just wasn't worth the time, because we would have changed the lights to LED anyway. So I work in a shared office, so it was a split cost. But we would have changed those anyway. However, there are like financial incentives at the moment to, for example, change your car to an electric car. Now, I wouldn't change it if you're not planning on getting a car anyway. But if you are, at the moment, you still don't pay road tax, although that's changing. It's a lower benefit in kind if you're buying through the business. And you probably end up paying. I mean, we've had electric cars for a long time, so I can't remember what it's like not to have an electric car and what it might cost. But they're not that much more expensive now. There's a lot more choice. And actually, the amount you will save on fuel is significant. You can also still get a grant to get the charging point put in, especially if you own your office, or even at home, you can get the grant to put the charging point in. Things like solar panels, there's still grants for solar panels. There's grants for heat pumps. We're just putting a heat pump in at our home. So I think we got something like £4,000 towards it. And £4,000 towards a 10 grand heat pump is significant. Maybe not through the business. We probably couldn't put that through the business because it's at home. But if you're owning an office, if you're a large practice and you own an office, that's worth doing. And again, with solar panels, worth doing. And even at home, again, you're not going to be able to put this through the business. It's not tax deductible, but you can club together with your neighbours, and there are schemes where if the whole street wants solar panels, then you get them cheaper.
Amazing. I have a client who there's 3 directors of a limited company, and they were getting new cars through the company, and he wanted this hybrid Volvo, I think it was. And I was like, honestly, look at what, I know all my clients are such an in-depth basis. I knew that they already had a petrol car. I said, look, you're not going to need something petrol realistically. Have you looked at electric? In the end, he went with electric, and his benefit in kind was £4,500 less than his co-director who took out the hybrid car because he thought he was doing the right thing. And actually, the hybrid car benefit in kind that they had to pay was more than what the petrol car was.
Yeah. And just from a sustainability point of view and a planet point of view, hybrid is pretty pointless. A question that we have 2 electric cars in our household, so fully electric. A question we get asked all the time is, where do you charge? Doesn't it take ages to, do you have to plan your journeys? Yeah, we plan our journeys. A couple of weeks ago, we went from Surrey to Hull. That's a 5-hour journey. We stopped twice. Once we stopped because I've had children and I needed the toilet. And the second time we stopped to charge, it took us the amount of time that it took us to eat our lunch to charge, and then we were on our way again. So we have no kind of range anxiety, and we have like affordable cars. We have Kias, so they're not like ridiculously expensive cars. But yeah, fully electric, we have no problems. There's a really good charging infrastructure kind of on motorways and things like that. Whereas the hybrid, most people are still using the petrol. So yeah, it's definitely worth.
As a petrol head, it kills me, but I completely understand the sentiment. It is, yeah, it's electric or petrol. I don't see the benefit of hybrid anywhere, not with the range you can get now with electric. But finally, as bookkeepers, how can we help clients track or report on their sustainability efforts in a meaningful and credible way? You were talking about plugging in some data zero. Can we do that on a client's behalf, or do they need to do it? Or is there something we can offer to help clients be more sustainable?
Yeah, so they absolutely. So Someday have a platform that you can plug your clients into. So they have like that overarching view of all your clients. So you can plug it into that. There's other providers that, apart from Someday, but they're free with zero, so it makes sense. And I would actually, so we're really lucky that we get to see every single transaction that goes through their accounts. And I've got to the point now with my clients that if they are buying something that I don't agree with, I'm just telling them, saying, did you know that actually you could do that more sustainably? And people think sustainability is more expensive, but as we've just demonstrated with the electric cars, actually it isn't. And if you can make that alternative and make the switch, why wouldn't you? You've got nothing to lose. And we spoke on the other episode about bank accounts. Just making clients aware that maybe their bank account isn't the best for the planet, be it through your social media or whatever it is. But there's this real opportunity for bookkeepers and accountants to take those transactions, do the carbon reporting. Their client can then market themselves as more sustainable, and you've earned money from doing that carbon reporting. And it's quite an easy system to follow. So yeah, there's a huge opportunity for us to talk to our clients about it.
Amazing. And as you help bookkeepers and accountants, where can we come and find you? Because you do the training for us, right? If we need that support.
Yeah, so teamed with a team called Sustainability Suite, we do carbon literacy training that is tailored to accountants and bookkeepers. If you come and follow me on LinkedIn, I'm banging on about it all the time. So you can come over to LinkedIn. It is, I don't know, LinkedIn Kathryn Frimond.
We'll pop the links in the show notes as always. Thank you so much for coming back to join me again. It means the world. It's opened my eyes up to all the different possibilities, and it turns out I'm actually doing okay to start with, but now we just improve that little bit and keep going and keep going. So that brings us to the end of another episode. Thank you so much for joining. If you found this episode useful, like, rate and review wherever you're listening to it so I can help more business owners build better businesses. And I'll see you next week for the next episode. Bye. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the 3Bs podcast. I hope you found it useful and that you're walking away with some motivation, inspiration, or education to help you build a better business. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and of course connect with us on social media for more insights, tips, and behind the scenes content. Your next step in building a better business is just a click away. I can't wait to connect with you, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.